Welcome back, dear friends, to another exciting episode. I really love this project. I was dreading it to start with because I thought, not another really complicated 3D printed thing where everything's not going to work and I'm going to have to go round and round and round spending hours waiting for each thing to print. But it hasn't been like that. And I've now got to the stage where it's tweaking, and I know that most of everything is going to work properly. So the last thing I was doing before was I was trying to work out how on earth to get the servo motor, this one that's actually flipped over on the other inside of the half head, haven't printed that yet, to actually move the neck, because the neck, I wanted her to be able to look up, right up, and also to look right down when she's sort of asleep without the mouth opening, unless she's snoring, I suppose. And I tried cams and I tried gears because I hadn't slept well and it just wasn't happening. And then I thought, let's try a wire linkage, especially as these things come with these little horns on for wire linkages. So I put one together, tried all over the place. Again, my brain wasn't working to try and work out the right sort of length, because I wanted this with a 180-degree movement of the servo to move that from there to there, so it can't crunch anything. The servo motor can't jam, the mechanism can't be crushed or anything, and I managed to finally sort it out. So what I'm doing now is to prepare to print one. Well, not one, the other side of the head, because I haven't printed that yet. Also, anyway, let me show you what I've been doing. That's it, yeah, the eyeball, because she hadn't got an eye. She just, when she opened her eyelids, you just saw some hideous hollowness. So I created an eyeball that's again 1 millimetre smaller than these eyelids. That's right, and I managed to position it inside. So that's handy, because trying to work with this sort of scale and precision is quite a challenge. So got that done. I know all these line up with the centre of the eye socket, so I popped that in there and then tried to work out how to mount it. These aren't going to move. They call me old-fashioned. I think I've managed to get enough in this. It's like one of those things you used to do as a child, or at least I did, was how many things you can get in a matchbox. Well, yes, this is a sort of equivalent 3D printed matchbox. So I ended up with the eyeball sitting there, cut off at the back with a little support. And I thought to me this morning, I don't want to print a whole head yet, because I'm not sure whether this side is going to work. Because it's amazing, isn't it? Whatever time of day or night I sit down to do this, something happens. That was the shopping being delivered. Yeah, so I hadn't actually put the new eye socket holder in here, because if I print this side, that's right, I can then test this servo motor for the neck lifting. You can see there where I was sorting out how it can be fixed to the neck. Oh, and I printed a new neck. That's exciting. The first time we've had a whole round one. And what I realised, of course, because I'd split the head into 3 sections to try and overcome some hideous issue with that corruption. If I go Control-CV, look, it just copies that bit. Then I can go to mirror, and this bit will have the new eye socket. So I can then just replace this bit with that bit, which I have already done. I thought I'd just catch you up with progress. So what I'm going to do now is to print this half of the head. That's brilliant, because that's going to obviously not take half as long, funnily enough, as that one. And then I can see check whether the eye works and other bits and pieces. Stop talking, get on with it. Here's the neck that I printed yesterday, most of yesterday. It's lovely. First time I've seen it together, and there's the slot at the back, little holes for some sort of wire staple I think I'm going to use to fix that lever linkage onto. So I can now, and this has got the screw holes in the bottom, so that can sit on top of that, so I can get all this together. It's very exciting. I was just getting this ready to print and realised, of course, it's going to be printed upside down. Whoops, with that side at the bottom. So everything that's level with that can just be printed straight away, because it'll be sitting on the base. But as you get higher up, if you think about it, things like this, if I didn't have that angle on there, that would just suddenly be sticking out and it wouldn't be able to print that. Once it's started, it's fine, because that again is a curve that's slowly getting bigger. But I'd forgotten to account for this on the new eyeball holder. That'll just happily print down, I don't know what I'm doing here, print down there and then suddenly come to a horizontal thing sticking out and we'll go horribly wrong. I need to put an angle of the dangle on there. Thank goodness I noticed. There's the new head side printing. What's it on? Hour and 12 and it's done 8%. I'm just going to hold mid-breath. What's you doing now, Jim? Well, the fact is I want to get all this together. And in there I need to have one of these SG90s, I think it's called, servo motor. But I need to know, dear friends, that this is set to 90 degrees, halfway in effect, and I've got no idea now. I don't want to move it backwards and forwards because then I'm making all the little gears inside whiz round far too fast. I could damage them. So I'm just writing a little sketch, well, stealing a little sketch example that will hopefully get this servo, or both of them, to line up with 90 degrees so I can fit everything together. As always, I've got 5 of my very best Voltaires sitting there because obviously a step servo motor draws a lot of current as it's whizzing around. So I'm going to put my finger on the button. There's the servo motor. Right, so we know that is now 90 degrees, which means I can now pull the horn off and get that so it is in the right position. How lovely. The screws lined up perfectly after all that fuzz and kerfuffle. The wire comes out of the bottom. So let's try it and see what happens when I upload a new version that just goes from one side to the other. Now the thing about servo motors, which is lovely, is that they only take electricity, only use any really, when they're actually moving to a new position. So they just sit there. If you try and move them from the position they're currently set to, they really fight. Ooh. Ah. Ooh. Well, that's good. Right, now that obviously is too fast. And there's a trick that you can use, because with servo motors they just want to get from where they are to where you want them to be as quickly as possible. So I need to turn that into loads and loads of little steps. Let's do that. So what I've added is 2 for loops, one going clockwise, one going anti-clockwise. The first one, integer I equals 0, starts off as 0, while I is smaller or equal to 180, which is the maximum turn. Do whatever it is, follow the loop, go round and round, then I plus plus. So every time it goes round it adds 1 to I. Then it writes the servo, the angle, the new number, and then it waits 15. I just tried it by waiting 1 and I'd forgotten, but remembered, dear friends, that this doesn't have any feedback. So you send the numbers through to the servo and then this is still whizzing round because there's nothing to stop it. It's not going to wait for that while it moves, hence the 15. And then it goes back the other way. So what we end up with, so that's really handy because that is slowing down a servo motor, and obviously I'm so pleased with this because obviously I can now get it to move back to the front and move left or right, move quicker than that, slower than that. Ooh, how exciting. I've got the new head side printed out, and I've printed out the eyeball and a new eyelid with the gear on. So I'm going to look forward to trying that out along with a servo motor on the neck. During the meanwhile, I've been experimenting with trying to get the mouth to open and close quietly, and the 3D printer isn't printing. So 2 things to address. I've tried all sorts of stuff, mostly involving felt. Now I could put felt on the upper ridge, upper lip, but that would be the ideal place, but you'd see it. However carefully you tried to do it, you'd see little bits of floof hanging down, not possibly green, but it just wouldn't look right. So I've come up with a cunning plan. I noticed that when the thing pulls in, it against the spring, that spring, well, one very much like it. The original one I managed to fire across the room into a complete oblivion. It's lucky I bought 50 of them. So that's okay. It's when it snaps back up and the two pieces of plastic. So I've come up with a cunning plan. And what I've decided to do is this, to stop it. I have an adjustable stop, and I found I had, most luckily, some M5 grub screws. Because what I realised was, I don't know whether this actually makes any sense. And the other thing was, calm down, deep breaths. I'm going to add a thing in the mouth, the bottom of the mouth, that's fixed to it, because I realised that you could see the hinge at the back here, and it was just annoying me. And this fulfills two purposes, because on the inside it's got a rebate, 0.5 millimetre deep, for a piece of felt that's 1 millimetre thick. And it's arranged so that there's a gap, so that in effect this mouth will close and that lip will touch the other lip, and that's absolutely fine. I know it's going to work as is, but with the aid of this M5 grub screw, which I'm going to thread through this bit, which is the solenoid support, that means I can adjust this really precisely to the closing point, hopefully meaning that the grub screw will push against the felt and it won't clicker and clatter. And this is the slicer software that amazingly uses very clever mathematics to turn these objects into slices 0.1 millimeters thick with an internal structure. Very clever. I was intending to make the linkage out of spring steel, 0.8 millimeter spring steel, but it's really, really difficult to bend. Not surprisingly, really. I had tried to make one, remembering it had all changed over, a mirror image. But it's really fiddly, and I thought, I know, I'll go and find a paper clip. Could I find a paper clip anywhere? No. But in the end, I found a jar of these big paper clips, and they are 1 millimeter diameter, but luckily the slots I made will cope with it. So it's much easier to bend. It will definitely be strong enough. So what I've done is I've bent one up. There's the little hook on the back, because it's in tension, I think. It's very complicated, this. So that's head down. As this turns around through 180 degrees, that lifts the head up. Well, that's sort of proof of concept, because it is going right to the top and then down and just resting on the chin, which is okay. It's all very wonky, obviously, because it's only got half the thing in, but I'm pleased with that. Another hour and a half of my life have vanished in the pursuit of this. Oh, I thought, well, I'll show you. I've got the right eyelid printed, and look, it works really nicely. I'm very pleased with that. It's amazing considering the tolerances. But what I noticed, though, most annoyingly, is that when the eyes open, you can see around the bottom, the ball is floating. So I've just spent an hour and a half trying to work out how I could possibly add a printed thing around the bottom of the eyelid, the eyeball, so that it supports it and allows the eyelid to still open and close. So I've been trying to subtract open and closed eyelids, I don't know, yeah, like that, from a ball and things, and I've managed to print something that didn't work. I think for my own sanity I'm going to put this on the back burner. I won't let it wither on the vine, however, but for the time being I'm going to get on and build the improved mouth parts. So here's that new back plate thing, lever, and you can see the support structure that it's built, which will just pull off really easily. Ho ho ho, let's get that pulled off really easily. It's so nice when something works. So the improvements, oh lovely, that's printed perfectly and that's a shape. Also means that fits over the adjusting grub screw, so it doesn't bang into it. I could have used a shorter grub screw, but I ordered these ages ago. I think there's about 100 of these particular grub screws, so why not use them if it means making an extra 3D printed hole? and that's moved forward a little bit, and it's just finished printing because I'd forgotten to print it. I've got so many little bits and pieces, different versions. I found my grub screw, my Allen key, so I'll just tighten that. Don't know how much by. Yeah, that's it actually, isn't it? With the addition of electricity, I think it's working. That is so much quieter. Excellent. Dear friends, I had to share this moment with you, because look, I am ready to join these two halves together. We got all the mouth sorted out. In the end, with regard to the eyes, I just thought, oh, this head is doing mine in, basically. So I've extended the sockets down here a little bit to make it a little bit more sort of rigid and guided. And I'm going to then fiddle with the eyes later on. I've just got to get this starting to print, because this is going to take hours and hours and hours. Look! She's on the slicer software, upside down. How lovely. And it's telling me that she is going to take 11 hours, 29 minutes to print, which from experience says it's going to be about 13 hours. Let's get printing. The printer's all warmed up, so let's press the button, go to print from TF. I don't know what TF stands for. Whole head 1. Ooh! And it leaps into action. This is in the darkest corner of the workshop, but I like the mystery and suspense. Right, while that is trying to focus, I will go and get on with the eye thing that I was talking about trying to do. I thought I'd just show you how I'm going about trying to cut out this fillet of fish. What I've done, let's see, there we are. I've got the two eyelids in the open position, well, one eyelid but in open closed position and open position. I've managed to position two cubes perfectly to line up with the angles, because they're quite complicated. Then what I've done, because I'm copying everything, called me old-fashioned, I've got rid of the two eyelids but left this central pivot in, and the cubes. I've really carefully measured and worked out the centre of this to the extent where I've actually written it down, X, Y and Z, or Z if you're in the US, so I know where it is. I have just drawn a 16mm diameter sphere and hollowed it out with a 13mm or whatever. I'm now going to move that into the centre of there by going down here and hoping it all stays in focus, and then typing in the number I've got, which is 247. Then when I click accept, boing, it has now disappeared into the centre of here. You can see the bottom of it, which is actually the bit I want. So the next thing I do, make sure I've deselected everything, click on this one and zoom in a little bit so you can see the action, and then go hopefully to subtract. Yes. Ah, do you see now? This is the plan. Oh, is it still? It's not even. It's meant to be symmetrical. I've been so careful. I don't understand. Or is it just the view? Let's do this one then. Subtract that. Oh, yes. Right. So we've got. I don't want to follow it around the screen. But look, it's thicker. I don't understand. Oh, chickens have kicked off, and bless Ziggy, she's gone out to check. They really are not very bright things. There's nothing wrong out here at all. But bless Ziggy, every time, she's so protective. Every time she hears them, she comes out and checks. You're good, aren't you? You're checking on the chickens. Check on the chickens. Oh, and you can return to your beauty sleep. Oh, and they've seen her and know that they're safe and they're being looked after, and they've stopped making that silly noise. Yeah, not time yet. Still got an hour and a half to go. That's what I'm talking about, because now it's got, cut it off at the back, and that's still got the fixing for the eye. And now if I slide this, I'll show you what I mean if I can actually find the mouse pointer thing. I'll put that there. That's it. You get the bottom filled in where the eyelid doesn't need to go, and when the eye shuts it'll just shut onto that. Oh, thank goodness for that. So 3 hours at 22 and we're 13% complete, and progress so far. So not a lot to see yet, but it is ever so small. I say every time I print another part of this, it's ever so small. I think that's probably a good time to finish this. I was hoping to get the whole thing together and things moving, but I think that'll have to wait till next time. It's about 20 minutes now. Thanks very much for watching. As always, I'll put a link to my Etsy shop. Because of their enormous commission, please contact me directly at john@steamhead.co.uk for 10% or more off. Hope to see you next time. Thanks again for watching.